Hi, it's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and welcome to Bodyful Day 165. I don't know where I got 154 from yesterday, or 157, but we're way off. We're at 165 today, and we're talking about day 5 of acid reflux and the senses, and today we're talking about the sense of touch. So we're going to talk about how to feel into that acid reflux and how to help it out. All right, let's start with our basics. Let's take a deep breath in and release. Go ahead, expand, 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 and tuck. Deep breath in and release. And now, if there's any garbage that you've been carrying today, maybe you got behind and got stressed by it, maybe you had a youngster that just drove your patients crazy and you ended up yelling and that isn't where you wanted to be. So go ahead and breathe into that. Take a deep breath in and release. So, Bodyful Day 165, we are on day 5 of acid reflux in the senses, and we're talking about touch. And touch is the sense of, obviously, touch, but it also is pain. And so we really are hitting the key to acid reflux today. So the sense of touch is going to explain the acid reflux that you feel. It's going to explain the pain, the band of pain that you feel right along here. It is also going to explain how, and kinesthetic is going to do this too. We're going to talk about kinesthetic in terms of later talking about positioning, but today we're going to talk about this sense of touch. So remember, our goal with the healing equation is to have energy to heal, or even in this case to make acid reflux less, equals good energy and minus stressors. And acid reflux, as we know, is a significant stressor. It is going to pull your energy away from your ability to do anything else, because you've got to concentrate on that, because you sense it, because you sense the pain. That is going to be where your focus is, rather than being able to get anything else done or being relaxed enough that you can actually heal this. So, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about feeling into this pain and being aware of what positions it occurs in. So for a lot of people, lying on their back at night is when that sense of pain and disruption happens. For others, it's actually not lying down, it's actually sitting in a car or sitting in a chair when you're getting squished. And that squishedness is what triggers the acid reflux. Now, this is very similar also to pregnant moms. I had a butt right up here for 3 months, and that little baby behind really did nothing for my acid reflux, which I didn't have until I had a baby butt sitting up here. And then, of course, you move into the old wives' tale that if you have acid reflux, it means your kid is going to be born with hair. There actually is some science to that. It's been shown. I don't know why I'm getting darker. It has been shown, maybe it's because it's out in the sun. Let's try that. Is that better yet? It has been shown that there is a correlation between, is that still, no, that's not getting any sun. Okay. There's a correlation between hair, babies born with hair, and acid reflux. They're not quite sure why, but it just happens to occur. So anyway, we're feeling into the positions that happen. We're feeling into the timing. This darkened screen is driving me crazy. And I'm going to rub the camera and see if that changes anything. Okay. We're feeling into the timing of when we experience the pain. And we're also going to talk about the fact that sometimes acid reflux pain is not just basic reflux. So one of the features about feeling those symptomologies has a lot to do with recognizing what those indicators are. So as far as pain goes, physically, if you were to touch underneath or just above your stomach, so your stomach sits on the left side over here, but it also has to go under the diaphragm, and has to go through the diaphragm, and it goes through the diaphragm about here. And if anywhere along this line where it would go in and around the diaphragm is painful, that is usually associated with acid reflux. So thinking of touch, that is where you would get an effect of acid reflux. Now we always talk about feeling it here or feeling it up here. But the other thing that's associated with acid reflux, and it's called silent acid reflux, is having a cough or having clogged sinuses in the morning when you know you don't have allergies. And that is because the acid reflux happens at night and starts to kind of gum up the system. And so you are actually kind of coughing up garbage, that because you're not breathing really clean air, you're breathing air plus the remnants of acid fumes coming in through the system. So when you think about acid reflux, you've got to think about those things. Now in my office, we always talk about the fact that if it hurts, hold it, or if it hurts, push on it, or if it hurts, massage it. So one of the things you can do from a how do we help acid reflux, how do we get ourselves some good energy in, is holding on to any of those pain points where you're feeling it near that stomach area. So holding there will actually help release the pain and help improve overall function, because you are releasing knots that the body's been creating because there's inflammation underneath those ribs. Now the other thing that would be helpful in terms of feeling, so we've talked about the fact that clearly acid reflux here is a sense of touch, but you can talk about touch here, actually physically touching over the stomach. That can be painful when you have acid reflux. And then the other interesting sense of touch thing that is associated with acid reflux and problems with that is sternum pain. So I don't know how many of you have ever done CPR, American Red Cross CPR. One of the things you do to make sure that the patient is awake is that you rub your knuckles on their sternum, because it's supposed to be painful. It's not. This is not supposed to hurt. Your sternum should not hurt. It just happens that when you haven't been taking care of yourself and your stomach hurts, you will actually have a sore sternum. So I can rub my knuckles on my sternum for days and it wouldn't wake me up because I don't have inflammation over my sternum. Now, what do I do instead? I hold, and I also rub my sternum quite often, rub it every day to kind of work out some of that inflammation, because inflammation here is not, again, if it hurts, hold it. But it's related to the esophagus, and it's also related to the diaphragm. So if we go back to acid reflux, so the diaphragm is here, the stomach is here, this is the esophagus. The diaphragm should kind of wrap around the stomach, and the esophagus should come out of the hole and not be a bunch of a problem. But if you have acid reflux, then the acid glands that are around the top of the fundus here are actually kind of peeking out above the diaphragm. And that acid that higher level of acid is going to be right next to that diaphragm. And your diaphragm is going to go, I don't want to be there. And so since it cannot go anywhere else, it can't just open up and release, all the contents without inhibiting your ability to breathe, it instead relaxes a little bit, and then the stomach slides up through that hole. So the stomach usually doesn't slide up through the hole or the hole in the diaphragm unless there isn't already some inflammation from acid reflux occurring. And so at that point in time, your diaphragm, which is associated with pain along your sternum, this is something called Chapman reflexes, is going to cause pain here. And if you rub on this, you're helping that diaphragm area around the stomach, as well as reducing the pain. Unfortunately, that means that if you were passed out unconscious and somebody who knew Red Cross CPR went ahead and rubbed their knuckles on your sternum, you wouldn't wake up anyway because it was fine. That's a concern you have to sort out for yourself. But I would think that less pain on your sternum and knowing that your diaphragm is functioning better is more important than knowing that you would wake up when somebody rubbed their knuckles on your sternum if you were passed out. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, all of those are ways to identify the stressor, because it can come up in different forms. It can come up as pain here, it can come up here, it can come up as pain in the sternum, it can come up as plugged sinuses, it can come up as coughing in the morning. All of those are forms of touch because they're causing sensations throughout the system that can stress the body. And so you need to have good energy in. If we're talking about touch and good energy in, we can talk about rubbing the sternum. That would provide good energy into the diaphragm. We can talk about rubbing these ribs that are tender. That would give good energy in for the stomach. And if you do have silent reflux, we can talk about holding sinus points to kind of help relieve. And I think we've talked about sinus points before, but there are points along your sinuses that you just intuitively know how to poke and press on that feel really good when you've got a headache or when you've got sinus congestion. And they're the inside of the eyebrow, the inside corner of the eye, just at the nose, and then down here in the bottom nose, the bottom part of the nose. And you can hold these points and they will help with silent acid reflux, because they're going to help open up the sinuses and get relieve some of that stress in the sinuses. All right, so I apologize for wandering a little bit because I really want to get to the kinesthetic stuff, but I don't want to jump into it too quickly because this is touch. So meet me back tomorrow and we'll talk about kinesthetic, how important the kinesthetic sense is when we're talking about acid reflux. All right. I hope you are having a great Friday. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you here tomorrow. Take a deep breath in and release. All right. Have a great day.